Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the Molemapper dataset, which is another dataset, because in my previous video I mentioned the Hampton 1000 dataset. So this time I'll be mentioning the Molemapper dataset. So let's talk about what the Molemapper dataset actually is. It's basically really similar. It is a mobile a health dataset collection, which is collected from the Molemapper actual app, and it's developed under Apple's Research Kit framework. Um, it is created to support research on the disease called melanoma, or the type of skin cancer called melanoma, as I mentioned in my previous video. And that is, as I mentioned, a serious form of skin cancer. And this data set enables individuals to photograph and track their skin moles over time and see whether or not if it's skin cancer or not. And combines crowdsourced health data with medical research goals. And what it means by this is like more together data for like different types of moles. And it has a unique feature, which is longitudinal. I don't know how to pronounce it, but I know what it means. Longitudinal um tracking, which is basically like monitoring the different moles on different time series, like weeks, months, years, or etc. And it is used by researchers in dermatology and machine learning communities. So let's talk about the data collection process. So the users, they basically take photos of the moles by using their basic smartphone cameras, um, to just scan that area where you have the mole. And basically you can, there's basically no like special equipment which is required in this case. Just take your phone, scan that area where you think you have a mole. Um, and if you can use like a reference object, like for example, you can use a coin or ruler and it's placed next to the mold to estimate like the real world size about how big it actually is. And the app guides the users to mark the mole boundaries and um measure the diameter using some scaling tools to see how round it is, like the diameter goes across. So there's a circle. You probably know what a diameter is. I'm like saying, so this is a circle. The radius is there's a point in the middle of the circle, so the radius is only one line, but the diameter is two lines. I'm pretty sure you guys know this. I'm just trying to make it clear for if you don't know what it is. And users can optionally provide metadata like your age range, your biological sex, the skin type, or like the body location of the mole if it's on your arm, your back, your face, or anywhere else. Um, Overall, the data is collected over time, which enables the tracking of the mole changes, the growth, or the color variation, or etc. For participation, it is voluntary, so with the user consent for more research use, but you don't have to do that. So, for data contents, so this is basically what the data set contains. So images, obviously, it contains like images. So there's regular smartphone photos. They're not always like dermoscopic quality. They're just like normal iPhone quality. And then there's variability in lighting, focusing, and angles. There's also annotations. So the user drawn segmentation mask. So there's like mole boundaries to like the mole where the mole is. So there's a square and there's a boundary of that specific mole. And there's also diameter measurements. As I mentioned, there's a circle, and then the full line throughout the circle is what a diameter is. So it's measured in millimeters, and it basically estimated a scaling reference. There's also temporal data. So multiple images per mole across time. So there's basically a time series, and moles are basically there for according to that spe particular time series, and as it trains, it goes over epochs. And it has metadata, which is the optional thing, as I mentioned earlier, demographics and skin-related attributes. And there's also a body site location, so you can like see where the mole is, if it's on your arm, face, or back, or whatever, as I mentioned earlier. And it has labels, which is basically limited in this data set. Some expert reviewed it and some crowd labeled data. So it's not only experts, but it's also some crowd label data. And not all of the samples have confirmed the clinical diagnosis. So the moles on there haven't all been diagnosed just yet, which is kind of a limitation. Let's talk about where Molemapper can be applied. It can 100% be applied in medical research. All of these data sets that I mentioned, Hampton 1000, Molemapper, maybe in the future I might mention more, can be used in medical research, the study of mole evolution, and early warning signs of melanoma, because melanoma does appear as a mole, as a new or growing mole in shape, size, or color. And you can understand the population level in more like level skin health trends. Obviously, it can be used for machine learning and AI, planning to combine medical research and machine learning slash AI. You can train models for lesion detection, segmentation to finding the mole boundaries, for classification to like see the difference between different types of moles, and it can be useful for longitudinal modeling, which is where it predicts the change over time. It could also be used for digital health tools. So, for development of apps, for personal skin monitoring, so you can just monitor your skin. If you have a specific mole you're worried about, you can just keep on monitoring that specific mole to see whether or not if that's melanoma or any type of skin cancer. Um, a risk assessment systems for early intervention. So I think they also have like an assessment about like your mole. And of course, we have computer vision challenges. So some real world noisy data sets and more realistic than clinical data sets. That is it. This video was fairly short. This data set obviously does have a lot to talk about, but if I get more into depth, that's gonna be like a 1 hour video. But these are just the basics I talked about for this data set. I really hope you guys liked it. Um, Next video, we'll be talking about something really interesting or another neural network. But until then, I hope you guys have a great day and make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!